Hello, everyone. I'm Dijon, and
I'm Amir.
welcome to the Mustardcast, the podcast about the art
Who's that?
and how it's used across different mediums. Make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe if you want to see our channel grow, and click the notification bell so that you're notified when we post. All
See,
right.
I saw that out of my peripheral. I just want you to know that I saw that out of my
I was
peripheral.
pointing.
Okay. See, that didn't look like a point from here.
You can start with what media you're consuming.
What media I'm consuming? I was just talking to you about this like right before we started. I read the Green Arrow 80th anniversary 100-page special. Because if you don't know, I really like Green Arrow. I actually really like all of Green Arrow's like entire mythos. Honestly, I'm not that big of a Roy Harper fan. I know that's probably gonna get me like crucified because I know almost everybody's a Roy Harper fan. I don't care about Roy like at all. But I love Oliver Queen. Connor Hawk's one of my favorite comic book characters of all time. Black Canary is also one of my favorite comic book characters of all time. I just, oh my god. So I read that and that put me back into my Green Arrow phase. And so now I've been reading the Green Arrow Rebirth series, which I've read bits and pieces of, and some parts that I've read are better than others, but I decided I'm gonna start reading from issue 1 all the way over to issue, I think 50 is the last issue. I did read issue 50. Issue 50 was a little weird and kind of made me mad because I read the annual and it kind of like retcons the annual, and I was like, why would y'all do this? And it irritated me. I'll talk to you about it off podcast. Also, I think I talked about this on podcast a couple weeks, maybe like a month or two ago. My PlayStation controller broke. No, my PlayStation controller broke like really bad, and I wasn't able to use it. So I wasn't really able to play video games on my PlayStation, but I just got a new one, which came well over a month early, and I'm very happy about that. And so I've been replaying Ghost of Tsushima. I've been catching up on Call of Duty Cold War and on Destiny 2. Iron Banner is currently going on. I was again telling you all, like right before this started, I look so stupid in Iron Banner, like when it drops, because I have like a mixed match of armor. And it's not color coordinated at all. Yeah, and there was like one more. I forgot what it was. I'm still watching the Batman 2004. You know, I'm on season 3 now. Oh, best Batman show I've ever seen in my life. I'm telling you, you really got to watch it. It's amazing. And actually, funnily enough, because they both share a name, it reminds me a lot of this new Robert Pattinson movie. Like I can see like a lot of similarities in this. But there was one more. I completely forget what it was. Watch me remember in the middle of the pod. What I do remember though, which I think you're gonna love, which I don't think I told you, is I kept watching Jujutsu Kaisen, and I actually really like it now. So I'm not finished with season 1 yet, but I do really enjoy it.
Where you at?
Let me check HBO Max real quick because I don't remember, because I stopped watching like 2 weeks ago. Not because like on purpose, but I've told you before. Sometimes I just like stop watching something. I'll be like, oh, I'll get back to it. But I do really like it. Like a lot. Give me like 1 second to pull up HBO Max.
Well, while you do that, let me just talk about what I've been watching real quick. Because I'm gonna go into more detail about a couple of them, but just to start off, I've been watching. Well, I rewatched a reaction of Rick and Morty because I didn't feel like watching the whole thing all over again. Rick and Morty's great. I love Rick and Morty. Season 5 started a couple weeks ago. It's pretty good so far. I still need to check out the 3rd episode. Been watching The Bad Batch, of course. I finally saw the episode that I didn't see last time we were on the podcast, so we'll talk about that a little bit. Rewatching, actually not rewatching because I haven't watched it at all. I'm rewatching another reaction of Swamp Thing because I'm waiting for them to add Swamp Thing to HBO Max because they still haven't added it to HBO Max yet. And Swamp Thing is so good. But it's on CW, but it's like the cut down version because the actual show is longer than the time frame they have for the CW, and they also cut out a lot of the violence. So yeah, I'm not gonna watch that version of it because that was
It's CW. What can you really expect?
Added HBO Max. I've been watching Loki. That's another thing we'll be talking about a lot this episode.
I forgot I've been watching Loki and Bad Batch.
Yeah, I watched Demon Slayer movie finally because they added it to streaming services. I watched it on Funimation, and because it was on Funimation, I got a free trial so I could check out the movie. And also, the last season of Fruits Basket was on Funimation. I have 5 episodes left in the 2nd season, so I'll finish the 2nd season. And I ran through it was only 13 episodes, whereas the first two seasons were 25 episodes, I think, each. The last season was 13 episodes, and it was great. I'm going to talk about that a little bit more later as well. Did you find what episode you were on?
I did, episode 19, and I also forgot to tell you that I've been watching this show called Luther, but I'll get into that a little bit more later.
I've heard about Luther.
It's really good. It's really, really good.
So Rick and Morty. You watch Rick and Morty? Do you like Rick and Morty?
I've only watched like the first few episodes. I think no, that's not true. I got like maybe to season 2, and I mean it's okay. It's not like honestly, I don't. It's kind of overrated in my opinion. It's nowhere near as good as people
you can't say it's overrated when you've only seen a couple episodes.
No, I've seen like all the way up to like season 2, and then I stopped watching. Again, a show that I'm going to get back to eventually, but just not right now. Do you hear the fire truck outside my house? Or not the fire truck, the ice cream truck?
No.
No? Okay. Sorry, that was really loud to me.
I always ask this, but you can't hear the air conditioner, can you?
No.
Okay. But yeah, Rick and Morty's great. I love Rick and Morty. It's hilarious. Season 4, was it 4? Yeah, season 4 was weird for me because there was this one episode that I just really, really didn't like. And because of that, I just stopped watching the show. But I finished the season. As soon as I got past that episode, it was fantastic. The rest of the season was great. But it was like a heist episode, and it was like making heist movies, and I just didn't enjoy it. Like there's one good joke in it where he would like go up to somebody and ask them to join, and before he even would say anything, they would just snap and be like, "You son of a bitch, I'm in," and then they would just go in their little heist, and it was like that was the only good part of that episode. I really didn't like that episode. It turned me off from the show a little bit, but as soon as I came back and watched the rest of the season, I loved it, and then season 5 started real strong. So yeah, Chainsawman. There was a trailer. Did you see the trailer?
I didn't.
Why? No, you watch the trailer right now.
It didn't even pop up on my radar. I didn't even know they made it like a trailer.
I'm pretty sure I sent it to you. Watch the trailer right now.
You didn't send it to me. I can guarantee that. No, you didn't send it to me because I watched almost everything you sent me.
I'm pretty sure I sent it to somebody else. That's why. You need to see the trailer.
You might have.
Because you're always like, what is this man talking about? He's talking about Chainsaw Man. And now you can finally see. You watch the trailer real quick. You've seen the trailer? You watched it just now? Okay. Yeah, like you said, it does look really strange. But yeah, I'm hyped. If you're gonna read the manga, I definitely suggest it. It's great. It's really short too. Let me see how many chapters it is. It's not really finished yet. There's supposed to be a part 2 at some point. There are only 96 chapters.
96 is it's kind of a lot.
That's not that many. 96. For me, 96 chapters is nothing. Like when you told me that Invincible was like 140 or 30 something, I was like, oh, bet I'm gonna run through that, and I did.
Yeah, because comic issues are shorter than manga chapters considerably.
Not really. They're around the same length.
All the manga chapters I've read have been.
It depends on.
They're the equivalent of like 3 comics.
They're usually around like 19 or 7. Actually, no, 17 pages usually. If they're longer than that, it's because it's not a bi-weekly or weekly manga. It's like either monthly or not even that. Like the creator of Tokyo Ghoul started working on a new manga, and it's pretty much they release it whenever they want to. So,
oh, that reminds me.
Really, so the chapters are tend to be like. Hold on, let me check real quick. Because I can't remember the exact number. I was about to say a number that sounded kind of crazy, and I was like, wait, that might be way too much. Chapter is.
That reminds me, I started rewatching
79. I was right. I was gonna say 71, but it's 79 pages long, and that's because it was like 2 months in between the first chapter being posted, and then they did the second chapter like a couple months later. That's why it's so long. Usually they're like 17 pages long. What are you gonna say?
I was gonna say that reminds me. You just reminded me. I forgot. I'm rewatching Samurai Champloo for like the billionth time, but I'm rewatching it and I love it so much.
My Champloo, so good.
So good.
It's fantastic. But yeah, so Mappa has a weird track record because they have really good 2D animation with Jujutsu Kaisen and God of High School. And they have good track record of 3D animation with Dorohedoro. I'll talk about that all the time when I talk about good 3D animation in anime. But then with Attack on Titan, it's the 2D animation and the 3D animation are a bit subpar. But a big reason for that is because they had a really tight schedule. I talked about it a while ago, but the people who produced Attack on Titan essentially wanted it done really quickly, and it was ridiculous how fast they wanted it to happen. So the original studio that was doing Attack on Titan was like, nah, we can't do it. So they went to every studio they could, and Mappa said, yeah, sure, we'll do it, because they're insane and they work their employees
Because we're insane.
way too hard. But there are examples of when they actually have time, they can make some really good stuff, like Jujutsu Kaisen and Dorohedoro. God of High School has good animation, but the story it sucks, honestly. But Jujutsu Kaisen is a great story, and so is Dorohedoro, and so is Chainsawman. And it's seemingly they're putting actual time and effort. They're always putting effort, but they're actually putting in a good amount of time into Chainsawman. So I'm excited for that. Next, we're going to talk about. I'm just talking about Fruits Basket real quick. I was going to jump into something else, but this is going to be short since you don't watch it. But I finished.
I would say you talk about Fruits Basket at least once every episode. And every time I have no idea what you're talking about
because I was watching it, but now I'm probably never going to talk about it again for a while because I'm done. But it's a really, really good show. It's the main theme of it really is it's about like mental health, and they really touch a lot of on like emotional abuse, a little bit of physical abuse like occasionally, but mostly emotional abuse, and just people healing. And there's a lot of situations where parents are just really horrible to their kids in the show, and it's a really good show. There's just one, there's two, but one of them is smaller than the other. But there's one really big problem in this show, and I touched on it a little bit in one episode when we talked about fan service in anime. And this doesn't have fan service, but there are between some of the relationships in this show, there are gigantic like gaps between the ages of certain characters. I'm talking like this one example is a 17-year-old and a 26-year-old, and I'm just sitting here like because I didn't know how old the character was, and I was like, he seemed like he like a grown-ass man. So I looked it up.
And it turns out he was.
And I looked it up trying not to spoil myself. I made me spoil myself looking stuff up about the show before when it came to how old characters were. And I was like, this dude like 26. He almost 10 years older than this woman. And she's still in high school. She's a junior. What is happening right now? And the thing is, they never do anything for like the entirety of the show. So I was like, okay, they literally do nothing. She like has a crush on him, and then like nothing happens until like the very end after she graduates. So I was like, okay, at least they didn't do anything, because then that would have been weird.
That still feels like grooming. I'm not gonna lie. This still feels
there are several. It wasn't grooming because he literally wasn't trying to be with her. Like that's literally what was happening. He wasn't trying to be with her. She wanted to be with him. But there are other cases of similar things to that. And apparently there's a movie coming out that's about the main character's mother and her father, of which there was another big age difference. And it's this weird, it's easy to ignore because it only happens in a couple cases and it doesn't focus on it. It goes like, let's ignore that because clearly it's a problem. And the author is a weirdo and is kind of essentially has a bit of a fetish about it and has admitted it in like interviews. Because I looked it up after I finished the show and I was like, okay, I can't be the only person who found this weird. And it was serialized in like 1998, and the woman, she grew up in the 70s, and we all know that Japan, when it comes to stuff like this, has some different views than us over here in the West, like how they sexualize children way too much, and they view people being far more mature at a younger age than we do here in America. And because of that, relationships like that isn't seen to be as weird, especially back then in 98 and in the 70s where this woman who made the show grew up. Um, so yeah, essentially that's why that happened in that show. But I feel like if you're gonna be, this is a remake of a show that never got finished. The manga was finished, but they never finished animating the show to, finish the entire story of the manga. So they remade it in 2019 and finished it in 2021. And I feel like if you were gonna change anything, you could have changed the ages of the characters and it wouldn't have affected the story greatly. Like make this dude 19 or stuff like that. Make them closer in age instead of making it this super big age gap that could have easily been changed. At the very least, they could have changed the ages of the characters for the English dub, if not the Japanese sub as well. You know what I mean?
Right.
And there's the second problem that I found with the show was this weird sense of there were male characters who were feminine, right? But when they would grow up essentially and get older, they would become more manly. And it was like this weird thing of like let him act like that now and he'll be different. And it was this one kid who was a grown man. This dude was like in his mid-20s, and then essentially went from being super effeminate to a man. And it was just weird to like a super manly man. Not super manly man, but a little bit more on the what's the opposite of that word? You know what I mean? But like, yeah, it was really odd because it happened with the two characters that were the two male characters that were feminine ended up becoming more masculine over essentially very like what's the word I'm looking for?
Just
like,
smoking cigars and ripping logs in
like
half
that.
with their bare
But
hands.
it happened really fast. It was like from one episode to the next, they completely changed from being really feminine to masculine. And I was just like, why? What just happened? That didn't make any sense. That didn't need to happen. But yeah, that's all I have to say about Fruits Basket. Demon Slayer, I watched Mugen Train. It was a good movie. Great animation as usual. Animated by Ufa Table. I'm not 100% sure how to pronounce it. I mean, and they also did Fate Stay, Unlimited Blade Works, and that also has some beautiful animation. It's a canon movie. Most anime movies aren't canon to the story, but this movie literally picks off exactly where the anime left off. So, and I think second season's about to come out soon as well. So, anybody watching this who's thinking about skipping a movie, if you skip the movie, you'll be skipping crucial information for the story because this is canon. This is canon. It was good. Like I said, I give it like a 7.5 out of 10. The reason I get a 7.5 is because great animation, some really high emotional moments. But, and this doesn't make the show bad, but it's just, the plot is super basic. And that for me, like takes away some of my enjoyment. Because the characters are fun. And if you have a good characters, the story could be kind of basic. But it's still hard for me to not pay attention to how basic the story is. And that's for the entirety of Demon Slayer for the most part, and not just this movie. This movie, the story was really basic and straightforward, but the action was so good and the character interactions were so good that it didn't matter. But it does detract a couple points for me personally, and bumps it down from being an 8, potentially a 9 to like a 7.5. But yeah, now we're gonna jump into Star Wars Visions. I know you probably been wanting to talk about this because I've been wanting something like this for so long. I've been watching a Star Wars anime series forever, and I'm glad we're finally getting that. It's releasing September of this year, September 22nd, 2021. Some of the studios working on it because it's an anthology series, or Kamikaze Doga, they worked on JoJo's Bizarre Adventure and Batman Ninja. They're working on an episode called The Duel. Geno Studio is working on and Twin is like a sub studio Twin Engine. They worked on stuff like I've never seen any of these things, but I've heard of them. Kokoku, Golden Kamui, and Pet, and they're working on an episode called Lapin Ocho. Studio Colorido, another like sub studio of Twin Engine. They worked on Burn a Witch, which is a great anime movie that takes place within the Bleach universe. It's so good, and I can't wait for it to continue because Tite Kubo is actually going to take his time with Burn a Witch because he got, pun not intended, but he got burned out with Bleach working on it, like most manga authors do. but yeah, they're gonna be working on an episode called Tatooine Rhapsody. Studio Trigger, who worked on Promare, Kill la Kill, Gurren Lagann. They're gonna be working on 2 episodes. One of them called The Twins, the other one called The Elder. Cinema Centrist, who worked on things like Eureka 7 and Rise of Shield Hero, will be working on an episode called The Village Bride. Science Saru, who worked on Devilman Crybaby, Space Dandy, will be making an episode called 2 episodes. One called Akakiri and another one called T0B1. And last but not least, Studio IG, studio responsible for Ghost in the Shell, is working on an episode called The Ninth Jedi. If I'm not mistaken, there were supposed to be 10 episodes, but 2 of the episodes became one episode, one longer episode. And I believe that is probably going to be the production IG episode, if I had to guess. One of my favorite things about this, other than it being Star Wars and anime, is that it's not canon. It is not canon to anything. And that opens up so many doors. We've talked about on this podcast before how I don't think that every single thing that Star Wars makes needs to be beholden to canon. And by giving people that freedom of things not necessarily having to fit this specific narrative that they're trying to create, you could get a bunch of really new and interesting stuff. I feel like this they could make a brand of like films and shows under either the Visions title or the Legends title, so that it's not canon. You know what I mean? Hello?
I'm eating. That's why my camera's off. No, I'm not really saying anything. I'm also eating at the same time. That's my bad. I do get what you're saying, and part of me agrees. Part of me also disagrees because one of the biggest complaints I hear about Legends is that nobody knew what was canon and what wasn't, even though
that's what I'm saying.
The more rational part of me is like, it wasn't that hard to figure out, but
yeah,
I don't know. I'm
that's what I'm saying.
I'm mixed on that.
That's what I'm saying. If you literally just call it Legends, whatever it's called, every single time, no exception. That way there is no confusion because it's called Legends or Visions, whatever. And you can't go and ask somebody, so is this canon? Like after a few years of them making this, you will go, oh, this is called Legends, so it's clearly not canon. They just need to be very clear with the marketing and let you know, like, okay, this means that it's not canon, so it's not canon if you see this. But I feel like that could also lead to maybe something interesting being created, and then them deciding, let's bring that into canon. Like I want like an animated, maybe even live action, like Star Killer story. I low-key want Star Killer to be brought into canon, if I'm being honest. But I just want some type of Star Killer story. I want a Force Unleashed 3, but I also want some type.
We're never getting a Force Unleashed 3. I'm sorry, that's never happening. I want it to, but it's not happening.
Look, don't let your dreams be dreams.
I want a Force Unleashed 3 so bad, but I've given up on that.
At the very least, I have a feeling at some point they will make a Darth Maul game. That has a much better chance of actually happening. And it would be the same, it would literally be the exact same voice actor playing Darth Maul, who will be playing played Star Killer. Yeah, that releases September 22nd. Last but not least, I want to talk about Bleach. Speaking of Bleach a little bit earlier. I wanted to talk about why Bleach is my favorite anime. And why I told you it went downhill after Soul Society arc, but you should still watch it anyway, because the Wako Mundo arc is actually really fun. And
I don't even think I'm gonna finish the Soul Society arc. Now that you told me it goes down, just like my entire desire to finish Bleach.
Whoa, there's no reason
downhill after that.
Yeah, that's why I want to have this discussion, because I knew for a fact that after I said that, I feel like he's not gonna watch it. And I was like, you should watch it and judge it for yourself. Because just because I say this doesn't mean it's necessarily you're gonna feel the same way. But essentially, well, let me just put it like this. The Wako Mundo arc is good. It's just not as good as the Soul Society arc. I made it seem like because the Soul Society arc is the best part of the show, that everything after it is bad. That's not true at all. The Wako Mundo arc
You did make it.
But
You
essentially,
made it seem very much so like that.
yeah, if I'm being honest, the Waco Mundo arc, and like I said, please don't take this as it's bad, but the Waco Mundo arc is pretty much in terms of structure the exact same as the Soul Society arc, but with different, well, not completely different characters. But how, like, you say you didn't finish Soul Society arc. Where did you leave off?
I stopped right when sorry, I'm still
Oh yeah, you said you left off around the end after the stuff with Aizen, right? Or like as soon as
right when the Aizen stuff was like right starting up, like the other Shinigami, I think that's what they're called, right? Started figuring out that Aizen was actually a bad guy, and the guy with the ice, I forget what his name is, but the guy with the ice, I think he started to fight Aizen. I remember correctly.
Okay. Yeah, that's around the end of the Soul Society arc. So definitely finish the Soul Society arc because it's fantastic. But yeah, you should watch the. I'm trying to remember because there's definitely a gap in between the Waco Mundo arc and the Soul Society arc where Ichigo is training some more. With something that I won't spoil because it's a really like additional power he eventually gets. And you should definitely
As anime protagonists too.
like definitely watch it. Like it's a good show. I don't want to make it seem like it's a good show because at the end of the day, it is literally my favorite anime. Now, what I will say is the Fullbringer arc, which is the arc after the Arankar arc.
So you're just naming these characters and things, and I want you to know I'm not following in the slightest.
I'm just naming arcs. So
okay.
So if I'm naming arcs, the Soul Society arc would be the second arc. And the Waco Mundo arc would be the third one. A Arankar arc is the fourth arc. And Fullbringer arc is the fifth arc. The second to last arc, because the last arc is the 1,000-Year Blood War arc, which is finally being animated, the final season of Bleach. Or it's probably going to be like Attack on Titan split into two, if not just be two individual seasons. But the Fullbringer arc is the one that most people dislike. If you were to just straight up skip it, you would literally not miss out on any information.
Which one has Final Gugetsu Tensho or whatever it's called?
That's the end of the Arankar arc.
Okay. Because I did see that clip on YouTube, and that was cool. And yeah. I want to see that.
That part is cool. But yeah, it's a good show. I advise you to finish it. If you'll definitely continue to enjoy it, and you might even have a different opinion from me. My opinion is okay. So Soul Society arc is the best arc. Waco Mundo arc is maybe the second best. Then Arankar, then 1,000-Year Blood War. I need to figure out how the first arc fits in because it's really the introduction is a bit regular to me because it's kind of just setting up the Soul Society arc for me, for the most part. So it's okay. It does its job pretty well, but it's just, it probably would be better than the Fullbringer arc, but not better than the other ones. But yeah, I just wanted to encourage you and anybody else who watched this and probably decided not to watch Bleach because I said that. It is my favorite anime. It's literally my favorite anime. It just has one really bad arc. And the last arc it's actually really good at the beginning, but it falls apart at the end. But that happens with surprisingly a good amount of like shonen. They kind of fall apart at the end. You finished Naruto,
I'll say I will say this. I like almost all of Naruto. I like up until Madara dies.
Because
I didn't hear any of that.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to talk over you. I was just
No, it's good. I just literally heard nothing.
Yeah, but because you watch Naruto, I feel like that's a good comparison. Like essentially the way Bleach goes is very similar to the way Naruto goes. It's really good at the beginning. There's some really good parts in the middle. At the end, the ending starts really good, but then it kind of tapers off. That's essentially they have a really similar structure in that sense.
It's so weird because I feel like the Fourth Great Ninja War, this is gonna sound weird because the Fourth Great Ninja War lasted like a week. It lasted too long on screen where it was like an entire I don't want to say it was like over 100 episodes, but it really did feel like it was over 100 episodes.
It did last a while.
And it had no reason to last that long.
For me, I think it started to last too long. Spoiler alert. It started to last too long after essentially as soon as they bring in Kaguya and stuff, I was just like, after like the Infinite I can't even pronounce it, Tsukinomi. After the Infinite Tsukinomi started, I feel like that's when we should have been really close to it ending.
And instead, they extended it for like 30 plus episodes fighting Kaguya.
I don't remember the order of things. So, did the Infinite Tsukinomi happen after or before Kaguya came?
It happened right before, and then Sasuke shielded Naruto, Sakura, Kakashi, and Obito from. He's like, "Oh, block with the Susanoo wings." And the Madara is like, "Ha ha ha! I've won. You guys have no chance." And then Black Zetsu kills him and turns him into Kaguya, and then turns him.
The whole Kaguya storyline is ridiculous. Why space ninjas? It's a case of like how I started talking about with Star Wars, how they never need to truly explain the origin of the Force because it's just unnecessary. It's like religion and God. You don't need to know how God came to be. You just believe in God. Like that's how the Force should be. Like the way chakra came about doesn't need to be explained. That's never something that needed to be explained. Like people who believe in spirits in real life, chakra could just be just like that. It's just something that is. It doesn't need to be explained. It's just something that exists. It's like sometimes
I'm not gonna lie. The whole
explain things for no reason. Like her as a character could have.
She's okay.
She could have worked if she wasn't like a space ninja.
She's not a terrible character, but she's not like.
I also don't want to go too long on this because
my bad.
We have to talk about Loki and a few video game stuff. So I started reading, just going to comics real quick. I started reading Swamp Thing.
That's crazy how you still haven't finished my favorite Hawkeye run, my favorite comic book run of all time, but you just start Swamp Thing. That's nuts.
I started reading something. I didn't finish it. I've read like I think the first 2 issues. It's interesting so far.
That's nuts because those are the 2 worst. Well, not the 2 worst. The issues aren't bad. But issue 3 is where it picks up. Issue 3 is my favorite issue. You haven't even read that. That's crazy. It's nuts. It's real wild. But it's okay. It's okay.
But what was I thinking? Yeah. So TV and film. There was a trailer for Halloween Kills and Candyman, 2 horror movies that are coming out this year around October, of course. There was a second trailer for Snake Eyes. I almost said Hawkeyes. And it was so much better than the first trailer. It's ridiculous how much better the second trailer was. That should have been the first trailer. Because the first one I was like, okay, I'm going to watch it. But the second one was like, okay, now I'm definitely watching it. There's no there was a little bit of at first I was like, this could just end up being a really bad action movie. But then I saw that trailer, okay, I have hope now. This is going to be really good. There's speaking of another martial arts movie, there's a trailer for Shang-Chi, which was ridiculous. If you don't watch trailers and you don't want to be spoiled, skip this because this trailer shows something that I low-key wish they didn't show. An abomination showed up at the end of that damn trailer. I was not expecting to see the abomination in Shang-Chi of all places. You did because
so did Wong.
Yeah, Wong was in there as well. But Wong makes more sense, okay? Not because he's Asian, but magic.
I was gonna say, now wait a minute. Wait a minute. What did you mean by that?
What do you mean by that?
What do you mean by that?
But because of magic, and also the tournament. But I would assume that Ross sends Abomination to the tournament to try and get the rings.
I'm not gonna spoil anything from the link from the leaks, but
I don't want to be spoiled by leaks. But yeah, it looks good. It looks really good. I can't wait for it to come out. You said you were a bit afraid of the fact that they might be giving Shang-Chi the rings and that's how he gets his powers rather than just having them or learning how to use them.
Yeah, because he has specifically 3 main powers in the comics and he rarely uses them. Most people who aren't even big Shang-Chi fans won't know that he has powers because he, again, rarely uses them. He has clones, basically Naruto shadow clones, that he got from a T-bomb, so he sort of an Inhuman, but kind of not, but sort of. That's where his clones came from. He's also able to shoot Chi Blast, which he used against this fight against Gorgon, and his hands can glow-ish, kind of like Iron Fist, but I don't know if that actually makes him any stronger or not.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not as big of a Shang-Chi fan as you, but I don't think it's.
Oh, he's my third favorite comic book character of all time. I love Shang-Chi.
It would change things too much for him to have the ring, if the rings are just a vibe, just how they give him all those powers, especially since he doesn't use them much in the comics.
I still don't want him like actually having that feels weird. Like,
what if
I'm fine with Mandarin being his father because that could make sense in the context of the MCU, but like him getting the 10 rings and being the holder of the 10 rings after, I'm assuming they'll kill off man because it's Marvel. It's what they do with their movies. They kill off like every villain. It's rare they don't actually kill off like another villain. So assuming they keep Mandarin alive, I didn't hear any. Not because you were like saying it. It was just like there was no audio coming from your end.
I was saying, we're lucky we still have Zemo.
We're lucky we still have Zemo. I'm surprised we still have Abomination.
I was about to say Loki, but Loki actually, I didn't mean to say that, but Loki actually died several times. So.
Oh yeah, he just keeps coming back. But yeah no, everybody else, like everybody, oh my god. But yeah, no, the Avengers kill. I don't want to hear it. The Avengers murder.
What if he like divides up the rings between like people and he keeps one of them or something like that?
I still wouldn't want him keeping any. I just don't. I prefer, honestly, I think out of everything, I would prefer it either Iron Fist shows up in this movie and explains chi, and that's how he's able to use powers, or he's a mutant. I would honestly prefer one of those to like him keeping a ring, because that's just that's I know we talk a lot about how the MCU is in the comics, but it just feels a little too it deviates a little too far, especially because this is his second on-screen appearance in anything, his first live-action on-screen appearance, and in his first on-screen appearance, which is in Earth's Mightiest Heroes. Technically, he's literally a non-speaking criminal. Like, he's literally a non-speaking criminal role that Iron Fist beats up in one of the last episodes of season 2. Literally, I was like, is that even supposed to be Shang-Chi? Because he's like, the design is literally like the 70s Shang-Chi costume, but he's a criminal and he doesn't speak at all. And he's dispatched by Iron Fist in like 0.3 seconds. So I have no idea if that was actually meant to be him or not, but I always take that as that being him. So I'm like, he's been on screen twice. This would be the second time. And I don't want them deviating that far from him on his like technically only on screen. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because then I'm just like, then people get like a really bad understanding of the character, and that's going to affect the comics because they always do that for some reason. So I just really don't want that to happen. I'm going to cry if he becomes the holder of the 10 rings. Like, I'm genuinely going to start sobbing.
Yeah, so HBO canceled LoveCraft Country season 2.
I did see that, and I wanted.
And
my day was going so well until you mentioned that.
So because of that, a lot of people started bringing up like Watchmen and stuff. And I think that I agree that Watchmen doesn't need a second season. Watchmen ended so good. It could, like, if it continued, I'm sure they'd probably do a good job if they had the same team, but I don't think it needs to continue. But as an idea, just before we get into Lovecraft Country season 2, I don't know if you've read it. What was that story called with the Watchmen in DC? A couple like
Doomsday Clock? Oh god,
Doomsday Clock.
Doomsday Clock was terrible.
What if they bring in what is it, that dude who became Rorschach in that comic?
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, and he was like the main character of like a season 2 of Watchmen.
That would actually make sense in the context of the TV show. That'd make a lot of sense.
Yeah, I feel like that could, especially since the reason I said this is because I was thinking like they tend to focus on like racial issues, especially in this show. If they want to do that again, they could bring in, that Rorschach, because that Rorschach is black. Yeah,
which is actually really funny because the original Rorschach was a racist, white, conservative, A
lot of people like either don't know that at all because it's not shown much in the movie.
It's not shown at all in the movie.
Yeah,
there's like maybe like one passing comment, but it's a big part of the comic. Like,
they show a little bit of him being a bit of a bad they show that he's a bad person in the movie, but they don't show exactly how much of a bad person he actually is. But yeah, season 2 of Lovecraft Country, Misha Green, the writer, posted a couple things that had to do with it on Twitter, and I'll put it up on the screen. So essentially, there's a map of the U.S., the United States, and this is without spoiling the second season for people who haven't finished it, and I don't think you finished it. But
I
essentially,
still haven't finished the first season. I'm actually very close to it though.
Essentially, it was going to be like the sovereign states. It's called this. It was called the name. The going title was let me check real quick. LoveCraft Country Supremacy was going to be the title of the second season, and the country was going to be split into like 4 sections. From like half of Texas, and I don't know how to. I'm just put the map on the screen and send it to you later. But essentially, a portion of like the bottom right corner of the U.S. was like called the New Negro Republic, and it's essentially ruled by Black people. And then above that is like this area called the White Lands that's going to be filled with essentially zombies. There's an area up near like Maine and New York, and everything in between, called the Jefferson Commonwealth, and then all the rest of it is called essentially the majority is called the Tribal Nation of the West. She didn't give details about anything except the White Lands, which is where the zombies are. But if I had to assume the Tribal Nations of the West, I don't know, maybe that would be like a Native American thing, and like Native Americans taking back their portion of the U.S. or something like that.
That would be awesome.
But as messed up as it is, I'm wondering like, would there be enough of them to really? Because this like is a substantial majority of the country. Like I'm talking about a size enough because the United States is a huge country. It's like the 5th largest country in the world. This is like a country's worth area of the United States. So I'm wondering.
All
like,
I'm thinking about.
I don't mean like it's like I don't mean to like joke about it, but like if there's enough Native Americans to really populate that, I mean they could have.
All I'm thinking about is I don't know if you've seen Us, the Jordan Peele second horror movie. But all I'm thinking about is like under the United States. It's just like all of, just like an entire another country. That's all I'm thinking about. As soon as you said that there are enough, I'm like, well, there's potential, maybe, if they went the Jordan.
I mean, you're right.
route.
This is LoveCraft Country. They could just be like the Native Americans were hiding underground this whole time. I don't know.
Yeah.
And they come out and take over the world. But yeah, it could have been so good because I don't think Watchmen needs another season. I didn't think LoveCraft Country needed another season, but the more I thought about it, the more I was like, you know what? It could do with another season. And I'm upset they canceled it because the only thing I could think of is like, but why though? There has to be some racism at play because people love that show. People love that show, and I feel
it was great.
A lot of people, essentially saying like it's probably a case of them essentially being like white people got uncomfortable.
White people got very uncomfortable. The only backlash I saw about the show was from white people about white people being uncomfortable. Yeah,
white people got uncomfortable with the truth being told, and because of that, they were like, you know what, this makes the whites uncomfortable. So the blacks.
It's weird saying the truth being told when like the show, a large portion of the show has to do with like witches and wizards and magic.
This is the second show on HBO Max original show to touch on the Tulsa Massacre, which up until Watchmen, I didn't know that ever happened. I didn't know that was a thing, and it's real. Like that actually happened, and they show it explicitly in detail in both of those shows. In both LoveCraft Country and Watchmen. 2 shows about.
I didn't know much about it, but yeah.
2 and this is also a great case of. This is a great mix of the kind of like, people wanting Black superheroes, but also not wanting Black trauma. But this brings in Black trauma in a way that isn't like annoying because we get it so much. I still say we do need stuff that doesn't just touch on trauma because this mostly touches on trauma, but this I feel like is a good mix between those 2. Okay, so next we're going to talk about Loki. So
please somebody can talk about spoilers. Please somebody can talk spoilers.
Yeah. So spoiler alert. I'm glad you said that. Spoiler alert. We're gonna talk about spoilers. Actually, first let's talk about the Bad Batch. I almost forgot. Yeah, sort of episode of Bad Batch. There's been 2 episodes since then, but it's Cat Bane. Cat Bane showed up at the end of I forget what episode, what number it was, but like
episode.
I love Cat Bane.
No, it wasn't episode 3. Whoa.
Up until The Mandalorian and Din Djarin, he was my favorite, but Din Djarin kind of trumped him a bit. But he's my second favorite bounty hunter. And when I saw him, I was like, oh my God, he's alive. I thought they killed this man off in the background. that Boba murdered this man, but he survived his duel with Boba, and he's here. And
I'm so happy
and that
because
scene was so good because that music started playing. It was, let me tell you, because I knew it was gonna be Cad Bane the moment when the Kaminoans were talking to each other and talking about how they were gonna hire more bounty hunters. I was like, please be Cad Bane. And then the Western music started playing, and I said, oh my God, it's Cad Bane. And they showed him lift his head up, and I was just like, I was so surprised. I was so happy, man. I was so happy to see Cad Bane. And it was such a good scene. The music was great, and he was much faster than Hunter on the drums.
Yeah, something that I've noticed a lot about these Star Wars shows is that, like about bounty hunters specifically, is that everybody seems to be a faster draw than the main character. Like every single character is a faster draw.
There has not been a person to beat Din Djarin in a duel.
No, but every single Mandalorian in the third episode of The Mandalorian was a faster draw than him. I had to count it. You can go back and watch. I think they both, Bo-Katan and the dude, the Asher or whatever his name was, both had shot like 3 aliens by the time the Din had even pulled his gun out. Like they're much faster draws than him.
I don't know.
It was a very noticeable detail.
I feel like he could maybe Bo-Katan, but I don't know about that random dude.
No, all 3. I'm telling you, bro, go back and watch.
I'm talking like if they like had to go and duel each other, the writers would probably make Din win the duel.
The writers would make Din win the duel, of course, because he's the main character of a show right now. Bo-Katan's not the main character of any show ever. But
no, Bo-Katan might. They might make her beat him, but I'm saying that other dude, they probably wouldn't make him beat Din.
I mean, but again, he's also the main character of a show. Yeah. But again, if you go back and watch, he's a faster draw than Din.
Din Djarin's the only one who's like, usually when they show him doing a quick draw with someone, he wins every single time.
Yeah, but again, if you go back and watch the episode, I'm telling you, bro, go back and watch episode 3 near the end when they go in and save him from all the corn fishermen or whatever they are that set him up. They draw faster. Like it's pretty noticeable.
I can accept that because they're also Mandalorians, so like that's fine. But any other person other than nobody. I feel like he should be like the fastest gun in any Star Wars show. And
no, I would put Cad Bane over him too as being.
I was saying I would want them to be like even.
I could see Cad Bane being faster than him. I'm pretty sure Boba's faster than him.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm pretty sure they're even too because they both landed a headshot.
They both landed a headshot at the same time, but that was also a much younger, much more inexperienced Boba. I'm thinking like prime Boba Fett in like the original trilogy is probably the fastest draw in the galaxy.
Yeah, he might be. Only because of that Cad stuff. If that never happened, I would never considered it. But
because of the Cad Bane stuff, yeah. I wonder how fast of a draw Jango Fett was.
Yeah, I wonder. I don't know. He would be really old, but it would be cool to see Cad Bane show up in Mandalorian.
I mean, I don't know how old Duros, like what the life expectancy of a Duros is. I think Star Wars has some of the best world building I've ever seen, but like every time I look up the life expectancy of an alien species, like a remotely humanoid alien species, they're always around the same life expectancy as a human. And like, you can't make a character like you can't make a species live like maybe 20 years longer than humans, like make the life expectancy like 100 years instead of 80 years. Like that just seems a little lazy to me. Like, come on.
I don't know why, but I always, like a couple of days ago, I was just having this image pop in my head of like this situation where it's like Finn, Rey, and Poe are like pinned down by like, I don't know, some people shooting at them. And then and at this point,
well, I would hope that's what they're pinned down by.
Finn has had some like I just got to say, but like Finn has have a bit of Jedi training at this point, and they're like pinned down, and then like a portal opens up behind them or something, and then like what's the main character of Rebels? I literally forgot that man's name.
Ezra.
And like Ezra comes out with what's her name, the Mandalorian girl?
Sabine.
This always happens. I always forget names at the most inopportune times.
Right when you need them.
And they just come out and help them out. And I was like, that would be fantastic.
that wouldn't really be a possibility anymore. Did you finish Rebels?
No, I haven't finished yet.
What episode are you on?
I mean,
Or I should say,
I know what happens at the very end.
okay, no, I'm saying, do you know what happens to the world between worlds?
I only know that it exists. I don't know exactly what happens.
Okay, I'm not gonna spoil it then. But
That's why I was imagining a portal, because I was like, they showed similar stuff like that in the show. So maybe he could teleport behind people through a portal. But yeah, let's get into Loki. So I want to start off by saying I think that they haven't gotten to the groove of these shows yet. Because so far, all of them they're good, but they're not great. You know what I mean? Like they're good and enjoyable.
I heavily disagree with that.
They're good and enjoyable.
I heavily disagree with that.
I think they are good and enjoyable for me, but they aren't like fantastic. They aren't like some of the best TV shows I've ever seen or anything like that, or even some of the best Marvel stuff I've seen. I just think that
I still heavily disagree with that.
And I think that they're only really going to get into that groove when they start introducing new characters that we've never seen on the big screen, because then this show will be garnered around that one character and building that character and getting to know about that character rather than trying to take previous information and trying to make it work in a TV format. I think WandaVision did it the best because they were doing something really unique and taking advantage of that TV format. But then at the very end, it became too much like a Marvel movie and kind of deviated really far from what they were doing originally, I feel like. And also the action scenes, I just didn't find enjoyable. I just don't think.
Did you ever see that side-by-side video? It was Loki versus, or not Loki, it was White Vision versus regular Vision, like side by side with Superman versus Flora from Man of Steel, and it's literally the exact same fight beat for beat, just in a different location. Like the movement, everything is exactly the same. And I had no clue.
It didn't feel as good as that one.
Because it wasn't.
Because it wasn't, they weren't moving as fast. They weren't going across like cities. They were in like one area. It didn't feel as good. I feel like they should have broken through more homes. Like destroy people's houses and livelihoods. Okay, that's what Superman does.
I mean, the best part of that entire showdown was the ship of Theseus. That's honestly one of my favorite moments in Marvel. Like that was a really, really, really good moment.
He just disappeared.
Yeah.
We talked about it. He should have like absorbed the other Vision.
I thought that's what they were gonna do, because I was like, oh,
yes.
White Vision versus this is gonna sound slightly racist, but not racist. I don't mean it like that. But White Vision versus like colored Vision, and they like come together and it's just like a little bit lighter vision.
We found out that he's made from the Soul Stone, so he could the Mind Stone, so he could become like essentially the Mind Stone back into Vision, and then he gets his color back, and also those suits are different.
They're not different.
How? I feel like dude. Do you wear glasses?
No, I don't. I wear, where are they? I wear screeners. I wear blue light screeners, but I don't wear glasses. I have perfect vision.
They are so different, and I'm tired of this. Look at the figures. Look at the figures side by side. The suits,
the figures. If you look at the actual pictures side by side, they're the same. They're exactly the same.
No, they're not. Why are you like this?
Why are you like this, bro? Just look at the pictures side by side. They're exactly the same. I'm telling you, they're exactly the same.
Loki. I think Loki is good. I'm enjoying it. First two episodes were good. The third episode I think was horrible. Might be too strong.
Okay, no, you lost me here.
I think episode 3 was not good, bro.
Lost me immediately.
I think episode 3 was, and I feel like this with and I take back what I said about Falcon and Winter Soldier. I think it should have been shorter again. And I feel the same way with Loki. Episode 3 was so slow, and I see what they were trying to do. They were trying to build a connection with the two Lokis, but it lasted way too long. And if they were going to do that, they should have dived a bit more into Sylvie's, just everything she was doing. Maybe they'll do that in the last 2 episodes. They'll dive more into like what she was doing in between, like when she escaped and now. But I feel like anything, if they wanted to build their relationships a bit more, dive a bit deeper into both of their backstories and tell us stories that we've never seen from Loki and stories that we've never seen from Sylvie, of course, because she's brand new, and have them connect on that level. Through
you lost me there immediately. I just want you to know.
But to me, it was just a bunch of dead space for no reason. And also, my biggest problem with the show is the power scaling for Loki is ridiculous. Because outside, like I'm talking outside of TVA, he should be turning people into paste.
Yeah.
He got slammed around by the Incredible Hulk. And all he did was get winded. He was okay right after it. He got up and walked away with cuffs on his hands like it was nothing.
Comic book Loki
of course the Hulk would have beat Loki, but Loki is still, he's above Captain America in strength. He's no super soldier. He's stronger than that. He's probably like a little bit lower than Spider-Man, at least in the MCU. In the comics, he's way stronger than that. But
in the comics, he's physically stronger than Thor, faster than Silver Surfer, and like as magically potent as Doctor Strange. I don't know why they nerf him so much in
the MCU. Maybe not physical strength, but they've shown that he could literally use telekinesis to push back a building.
Yeah, that okay. I'm fine with the power scaling up until that point. At that point, I was like, where did that come from, and where was that power in any other MCU product that he's been in ever? Because that came out of nowhere.
Because it never makes sense that someone punches him and he's like, ow, or like his hit gets knocked back. This dude took several slams from the Hulk. There's no way this regular ass person. I'm cussing way.
My thing is the Hulk kind of took him out. He was still getting hurt by Captain America in the first Avengers. He was physically getting hurt by Captain America in the first Avengers.
That's Captain America.
That's Captain America, sure, but I'm like,
you've seen Captain America.
There's still a large gap between those, and so like I'd be fine with it being like if it was like aliens or people from the future, which is kind of was. You could be like, okay, maybe like physical enhancements got them up to that kind of level of strength. My problem becomes, when do you become a living time stone and literally put a building back together with your mind?
That was weird.
That's where my problem comes from.
I was watching something and somebody said that the building actually did fall back the other way. So it didn't like rebuild itself.
I didn't notice that. I got to rewatch it.
It just didn't, he just pushed it back. He didn't like rebuild it.
Okay. Because you got to admit, it looked like he rebuilt it.
That power was weird because we've never seen him do something like that before.
We had no explanation for. At first, I was like, "Oh, maybe he grabbed a time stone from the TVA after that little thing where they were like, oh, it's paperweight."
To me, I was just like, him having telekinesis isn't weird. So I was just like, I just ignored it. But
it's not weird. But what's weird is that it's on that anywhere near that level, because you got to admit, we've never seen anything close to that from MCU.
But for me, though, the thing is, I wasn't surprised seeing him do something like that because I was like, he's Thor. He's not his actual brother, but he's his brother. He's a god. He's not, of course they play with this in here, like how a god is literally in this universe is just an alien. He's just an alien technically, but in comparison to a lot of beings, he's much more powerful.
I have a problem with that because I don't think it would be as much of a problem if his life was never in danger up to this point, but his life has been in danger, like considerable danger. When he fought against the Hulk, he should have done something like that. When his life wasn't in danger when he and Doctor Strange were having that little like, oh, you're a sorcerer, yada yada yada. But he should have done something other than just draw knives on him. Like, I understand it was for comedic effect, but like,
yeah, they heavily nerfed Loki in the MCU because literally all the magic we ever see him do is cast illusions and pull out knives. That's all he ever does.
He also has that little like magic like fire wave, whatever.
Yeah, he just shoots.
But that's about it.
Makes knives, and that's about it. He should be doing a little bit more than that. He should be a sorcerer. He should be doing like Doctor Strange stuff.
And that's the thing. He straight up was like, oh, you think you're a sorcerer, you're talking to Doctor Strange, and then he pulls out knives. Like, no, cast magic. Like, what are you doing?
But like,
he just never does it.
Like it makes sense when he's within the TVA, but outside of it, it's like he should be doing more. But like he did, but it was weird because we never seen him.
It was because we'd never seen him do anything remotely close to that.
Like that before. Also, here's the thing. I hated episode 3, but episode 4 might be my favorite episode of any of these.
I still don't understand how you hated episode 3. I thought episode 3 was amazing. That's one of my favorite.
It was just, like I said, it was too much Dead Space. Speaking of Dead Space, we're going to talk about the Dead Space video games later. But It dragged on too long. That's it. It dragged on way too long.
I disagree with that. I think it was.
I feel like they could have combined portions of the fourth episode with the third episode, and it would have been a much better episode altogether.
I disagree with that. I really do think it was not perfect, but it was amazing, and I love it so much. And I'm gonna have to rewatch it.
I really did love episode 4 though. Episode 4 was really good. The writing and acting is just fantastic. My least favorite part was the fight scene. It was not a really good fight scene. They cut
fight scene episode 4. I'm trying to think. Hold on.
At the very end.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Like every move they cut, and I was just like, please stop. I want to see.
And like the fight scenes in this show weren't the best, but they weren't terrible. Like they were pretty okay, you know, like
the fight scene with Sylvie when she first went to the TVA was pretty good.
I wouldn't say I'm not gonna say it was pretty good in my opinion.
I mean, there's been better.
It was better than this one. It was better than the one in episode 4. I can say that. I don't know what they were thinking in that.
It was a really weird fight scene.
Yeah.
But everything surrounding that was really fun. I'm trying to think what specifically from episode I want to talk about. I do want to talk about. So of course, naturally, when it comes to time and Marvel, the first person everybody's thinking of is it Kang. It's Kang.
Okay. It's King. I don't care.
Yeah, because everybody's like we've talked about how, of course they differ from the comics every now and again, but there's always some type of connection to things that have happened in the comics. And in the comics, there's an alternate version of Kang called Immortus, who became Immortus because he came in contact with those the
timekeepers, yeah,
the timekeepers, and he became Immortus. So either I feel like they aren't going to do. Maybe they will do multiple versions of Kang, but I feel like this might just be straight up Kang.
I think this is just straight up Kang, specifically because
maybe they'll call him Immortus, but it is just straight up Kang.
Ravonna in the comics is Kang's wife. I'm not a huge Kang fan, but like she was his wife. I don't know if she actually lived or not, but she was like stuck in time was the whole thing. Yeah. And she is his wife in the comics. And if she's controlling the TVA, and I know she's not number 1, because if she was number 1, I don't think it would be like a 1. I don't think it would be a full 6 episodes. 2, she's not acting like she's number 1, even though the whole secret of the timekeepers is out. I'm pretty sure she's working under Kang directly, but they are using the timekeepers as a sort of like puppet figurehead.
Yeah. So, what was I about to say? Yeah. I only know about Kang from the Earth's Mightiest Heroes cartoon,
which is a great show. Every time we bring it up, I will continue to say it's an amazing show.
That was my introduction to Kang. But naturally, a lot of people have been like, "No, this is just another Mephisto situation." And I was like, "No, I feel like both situations were like, it was a maybe on both situations, but this one is even closer because we know for a fact that Kang is coming eventually in Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. So this could be a setup for that. Even if
my whole thing is, 1, we know for a fact that he's coming, and 2, oh god.
Go ahead, finish real quick.
I was say 1, we know for a fact that he's coming, and 2, Ravonna is literally in the show, and she's that connected. Yeah. Sorry, motorcycle. She's that connected to him. It's not like Billy and Tommy to Mephisto kind of connection. It's like there's really no point in bringing in one without it being related to the other. Like Ravonna is literally not at all an important character unless it's relating to Kang. Billy and Tommy are their own characters, regardless of Mephisto. Ravonna is not, regardless of Kang. That's the biggest difference there.
So this is a loose connection, but a connection nonetheless. So the fact that the woman who plays Letty's sister in Lovecraft Country, her name is Wunmi Mosaku, is playing a character in the show, and Jonathan Majors, who plays Tick from Lovecraft Country, is playing Kang. I don't know. That was just a random connection. I was like, maybe she got this job because of him. Maybe they're friends, and he's also going to be in this show. And he was like, maybe you should, try out for this show. I don't know. That's a very loose connection, but I'm just like,
that is a very loose connection.
I get
where you're going.
If she's in this, maybe Kang's in this because Kang was from this, and they were both in this show together. But yeah, I feel like it might be. I don't know if they'll straight up show him or just mention him and or something like that. Maybe pull it like a Thanos and not fully show him. Or he just pops up at the end. The final, probably the last end credit scene is going to be.
I'm thinking, I don't know if he's going to show up directly. If he doesn't show up directly, I'm pretty sure there's going to be a name drop. If there's not a name drop when he doesn't, or he does show up directly, it's probably going to be either in a post-credit scene or as a small cameo. I don't think they're going to like show him in his full entirety kind of thing, but
yeah, I just think the pacing in all of these MCU shows aren't the best. I stand by the fact that Falcon and Winter Soldier either should have been much shorter or a movie. If it was a movie, it would have been so good, but it wasn't.
I still disagree with that. There was too much for it to be a movie.
I think that show, should have been so much shorter.
I'd still heavily disagree with that.
They could have shaved off two. They could have shaved off 2 episodes. It would have been way better.
Absolutely not.
Shaved off 2 episodes, it would have been better.
Absolutely not.
If you take 2 episodes away from Loki, it would have been better. WandaVision, I think if you took away only
Loki hasn't even finished yet. That's
no. But so far as it's going, I'm like, you shave off an episode or 2, it would be better.
I heavily disagree with that.
But I think WandaVision is the only one that 100% works as a show. Loki and Falcon and Winter Soldier would have been better as movies. Maybe not Loki. Falcon and Winter Soldier though. Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Absolutely not. There was too much going on for that
Loki
to be
would have been better if it was shorter, but Falcon and Winter Soldier would have been better if it was a movie. I stand by that. Not. It should have been it should have been called Captain America 4 because then that would have keyed you in that he would have been becoming Captain America instead of it surprising some people like it did. But yeah, they all should have been shorter, at least by
definitely not.
At least by 1 episode each.
Definitely not.
Moving on to video games. There was a preview. This is an old preview, but there was a preview for 12 minutes. The game that we talked about last episode with James McAvoy, Willem Dafoe, and Daisy Ridley. And essentially, what I learned from that preview and the way the game works is that you essentially just click on almost anything within that room, and the character will interact with it. And depending on how you use these interactions is how you essentially get out of the time loop. And you, of course, as you go through in the time loops, you learn more and more information to figure out how to fix it. And the more I see about it, the more I really want to play this game. This game looks so good. 2 other games I saw more stuff about. Death's Door, I sent you a little the trailer for that with the little crow with the sword. It's like a lot of people say that it feels like a mix of Zelda and the Souls games. It looks really good. It's one of the first isometric games I've been really interested in, other than Zelda games. And it looks like it might be one that I play. It comes out July 20th. It comes out this month. I don't know if it's gonna be on Game Pass. I know it's on Xbox. If it's on Game Pass, I might play it on Game Pass. Another game is Dying Light. There was a new trailer. It was a really good trailer. You should check it out. It was essentially the main character going through a horde at night. Not at night. It was in the morning because all of the zombies were still in there because they only come out at night. Well, most of them come out at night.
Yeah, I haven't seen it. You're probably going to sound sensitive.
And it was kind of scary because he was trying his best to sneak past them because they're all like kind of hibernating because the sun is up. And he's trying to like sneak past them and be super quiet. And at some point, of course, he makes noise and has to run. And it was great. I'm really excited for that game as well. I hope it's great. I have 2 things about PlayStation. So PlayStation has acquired House Marquee, the studio that made Returnal, and Bluepoint Games, the studio that remade Demon Souls and Shadow of the Colossus. And supposedly, Bluepoint is working on a Metal Gear Solid remake. And it might be shown I'm not sure if this PlayStation event is happening anymore, because if it was, I don't think they would have showed this Ghost of Tsushima stuff outside of it. I feel like they would have had the event and then showed Ghost of Tsushima at the event. But because they showed Ghost of Tsushima, I have 3 PlayStation things actually, because we're gonna have to talk about Ghost of Tsushima. I feel like they would have showed it there rather than having it be a separate thing. So I'm not sure if this event's happening anymore, honestly. So I really want a Metal Gear Solid remake. I've been listening to a lot of Metal Gear Solid music recently. There's some really good music in those games. So apparently indie devs hate working with PlayStation. According to an IGN article by Rebecca Valentine titled why indie publishers are fed up with PlayStation. So some publishers, some indie developers on Twitter were essentially, they didn't say PlayStation. They were calling it something else, but they made it pretty obvious that they were talking about PlayStation. They really hate working with PlayStation, and essentially the main problems are transparent processes, poor communication, an extremely limited ability to discount games, and an inability to get games promoted on their store. To put it a bit more simply, the process of developing an indie game for PlayStation is needlessly complicated due to poor communication on PlayStation's part. It's extremely expensive for them to pretty much get their games on the PlayStation platform because of how much they charge for advertising. And they're very selective when it comes to choosing which games get discounts. Whereas an example they gave is that Xbox is pretty transparent with it. You tell them that you want to, mark your game down by a certain amount. It would be pretty easy for that to happen. Some of these problems, the article says essentially spans across all three of the major platforms, but it's really bad when it comes to PlayStation specifically. They appointed Shuhei Yoshida to lead an initiative to kind of fix the problem. And they also recently launched a $10 million fund to support indie developers. But even then, the progress has been pretty slow. So yeah, I wanted to talk about this just to bring more attention to it because it's a problem. And as much as I love PlayStation, they aren't perfect, and they make plenty of mistakes, and I want them to be better. And I want to get the information out there so that PlayStation can hear it and make some changes. So next, before we talk about Ghost of Tsushima, Dead Space. Have you ever played Dead Space?
I've played one of them. I don't remember which one.
So I haven't played a full Dead Space game. It's on Game Pass, so I won't play it then when I get Game Pass again. But there was a Godfather 2 game that was really fun. I had on PS3, and it came with a demo.
Like the movie Godfather 2?
Yes, like the movie.
Was it just like a Mafia clone? Like I don't.
Low key.
Okay, I was like, I don't know how they'd make.
It actually.
I don't know how they'd make
it was kind of like Mafia. It was really.
I don't really know how they'd make it. That is basically Godfather the video games. I don't really know how they would make that and make it different.
It was similar to Mafia. It was fun, and you would get like strongholds from different like families, and then you would take over certain areas of the city. But like, the families would come and try to take their or different families would come and try to take the estate back. So you would have to like send members of your mob out to go get them, and you could recruit people for your mob. It was really fun. I don't know how much it hold up today, but it was fun at the time. It was one of the first games I got on PlayStation 3. But it came with a demo of Dead Space 2. Actually, I'm not sure which Dead Space it was. It might have been 2. I just know it was really fun. And since then, I love survival horror. I played every Resident Evil game I can. I played all the remakes. I played 8. I haven't played 7. I don't really care to play 7, honestly. Maybe in VR I'll play it. But yeah, supposedly they're going to be doing a remake. Their YouTube channel was updated for the first time in 8 years. And there were a few other things that happened, but essentially there are a bunch of rumors about it coming back, and that would be really dope. I might go back and play the originals, depending on how soon this remake comes out. But yeah, I'm interested in that. Last but not least, we're going to be talking about Ghost of Tsushima Director's Cut. So they released a trailer for the Director's Cut of Ghost of Tsushima, which includes a story expansion called Iki Island, new trophies, director's commentary, which I'm really interested in. I love director's commentary on anything. I've watched, because they don't do it for every episode, but there are some episodes of Avatar: The Last Airbender on a DVD because I have it on Blu-ray that have director's commentary that are really fun. And there are some movies that I've watched with director's commentary all the way through. They're adding that.
The only movie I've ever watched with director's commentary all the way through, you're gonna think this is really stupid. But it was the Lego movie, the first Lego movie I watched. I've seen that movie with director's commentary specifically I don't know how many times. Like, it's been a lot that I've seen that movie with director's commentary, and it's so much better with director's. It's a great movie regardless, but it's so much better with director's commentary.
They're adding a Japanese lip sync because a lot of people, I've watched people play it with lip sync, and lip sync was not very good. So they fixed that, but that's only for PS5. And the upgrade on PS4 costs $20, $19.99, and for a PS5 upgrade, it's $30, $29.99. And it releases August 20th. So the question is, oh, I forgot one. They finally added a lock on. Because there wasn't a lock on in the game before, and it was a bit annoying at first getting used to playing it without a lock on, but I got used to it. But now that there's lock on, I'm gonna be used to lock on.
I never play with lock on in any game, so it's not gonna matter to me regardless because I'm not gonna use it.
Yeah, I'll probably use it. But the question is $30 too much? And in my opinion, I think it is. I think $20 for an upgrade on PS5 is enough. And the reason this problem comes into play is because there are some people who paid for like I don't know what it was called, like the Legendary Edition or something. You know how they name it, like a Legendary Ultimate, whatever, Supreme Edition.
The Ultimate Legendary Top Tier God.
The God Tier Edition.
The God Tier Edition
of Ghost of Tsushima, which was probably around like $80, $90 or something like that, and came with a bunch of extra stuff. And you pay that much money just to have to pay another $30. I could 100% understand why somebody would be mad about that, because clearly this Iki expansion was being worked on around the same time as the main game. They knew it was always going to happen because of how soon it's coming out. That should have been something they should have announced, like most games, that there will be DLC. If you get this certain like version of the game, you get a game what do they call them? Those passes that are they called game passes?
Season pass.
Season pass. There you go. You get a season pass so that when it comes out, maybe it's cheaper or free because you already paid so much money for this game. And at first I was a bit on the side of they put the work in, pay for it, but it's also like I already paid a lot of money for this. It's kind of unfair for me to pay another $30, which is half of the price of the main game, for an expansion. You know what I mean? And like for an upgrade, if you didn't get any like special version, being $20 it's okay. I think it could have been a little cheaper, maybe like $15, But I'm okay with that. But it's the $30 for a PS5 upgrade that I'm like, especially for the people who bought the super deluxe God tier version, that I'm like, that's messed up.
Super deluxe.
If I ever make a game, I'm gonna call like my Ultimate Edition the God tier edition.
As someone currently working on developing a game, I think I'm actually going to do that. It's going to be the super deluxe God tier.
Super deluxe God tier.
Yes, sir.
But yeah, that's all I have to say about that. I'm excited for it though. I'm willing to pay the 20, but that 30 would hurt. Ooh, that 30 would hurt.
I'm paying for it regardless, but
yeah, that 30 would hurt.
I mean, it's Ghost of Tsushima. They can set any price, and I'm going to buy it. But
it's a good game. I'm excited for the expansion. I wonder if they'll pull a Miles Morales and change some stuff and make it a little bit better, or if it'll play the exact same. Because it has been long since the game came out, so I can't imagine how much they might have changed. But yeah, that's about all I have. We had 122 hour 22 minutes. Wrap this up. So I'm Dijon. You can find my ads below me as usual. Got a meter. And his ad's in his hand. Oh, look, it's back again. All right. Return of the hand. All right.
Return of the That one got me. That one definitely got me.
Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to our channel if you want to see more storytelling content. And then click the notification bell. What did I just say?
Click the what?
So that you're notified when we post. Goodbye. I don't know what I just said.